Welcome to Let's Talk Business. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, at whatever time you're watching us, either on Roku or on YouTube at WWDB-TV or See Us Now Staffing. So thank you. And let me introduce my guest. My goodness, we have Brandon here. You're amazing, Brandon.
Oh,
Brandon
wow.
Ward with the We Mentality. He's going to tell us all about his story. Tell us a little bit about how you even started your company.
Thank you.
Right, yeah,
Well,
but
first
welcome.
off, just thank you for having me. So my company is actually an extension from just my entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
It's a whole bunch of experience from when I was working in corporate, managing people, working with different teams, working with different leaders, and then creating different leaders, training different leaders, and then figuring out, we can take all of these concepts and we can create a business for other businesses. So that was how we really created the We Mentality. And then the We Mentality was created with my wife Tiffany. Well, we're going through a little something right now, but we created it, and she was a certified DISC practitioner.
Okay.
And we had learned about DISC prior to working with it was a major, we'll say, a coaching company here in Las Vegas. They're actually nationwide, and it was part of their process for us to assess all of our clients, and not just did we assess them, but they also assessed us. So Tiffany kind of ran with the idea for a while, and then I ended up meeting Merrick Rosenberg, who is the DISC practitioner for Take Flight. I wanted to create something for the children. He was already in the process of creating it, so we partnered with them, and now we offer Take Flight assessments where we're able to assess children, and we're also able to assess corporations. And then you can't just make a business off of assessments. What we had to do was we had to make sure that assessments is a tool. Now it's the foundation of creating an organization. Organizations need structure, they need systems, they need teams, they need all of these things that the business owner themselves, they usually can't think about, especially while the business is growing, because they're in the business, help building the business. So what we've done is we just created a system to where we can help them build their business while they work in their business, and then eventually they'll get to the point to where they have a team that's actually doing the work that they can delegate that work to, and then they can live on and hit golf balls or go on vacations, whatever that may be.
So when I first met you in the Accelerator program with Nick Steele and Shondell Newsom, right? And you were talking about the DISC personality assessment, and it was very new to me, not the DISC assessment, but the way you presented it with birds.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that. Where did the birds come from?
So the imagery is everything. We noticed that when we would go into organizations a year later, 2 years later, we would always ask, have you ever taken an assessment? And most businesses, they'll say, yeah, well, we took something like a Myers-Briggs, we take a DISC with the letters, we've taken the colors, and then I'll start asking them, well, let's see how you retain that information. Like, based on your assessment, what were you? And then how do you utilize that at work, and how you utilize that at home? How did you grow from it? And a lot of times people don't. My thing is, when you learn some information, you need to be able to implement it immediately. You come to my workshops, my seminars, my main thing is not you just learning it, but you implementing that information as soon as you leave there. So when we saw the bird concept, it just stuck. The D is known for dominance, so the bird that you incorporate with the D is an eagle. The I is for influential, so the bird that you would incorporate with that would be a parrot. Colorful, lively, talkative. Now you have the S. S is a steady, style. They usually mean peace, so we use the dove for that. And then we have the conscientious style. That's usually the person with the glasses, the analytical, all of those. And what we've realized is that when you can identify other people's personality styles, the faster you can do it, the faster you can know how to adjust. So when you add a bird to it, it's a model. And what we need is, so like when us as human beings, we need that model that we can always reflect back to. And once you're able to do that, okay, all right, I'm dealing with a parrot right now, so I can turn into a parrot. I'm dealing with an owl right now, I can turn into an owl. It's not just the letter itself. And then that concept of the letter is just not retainable to children. And to be honest with you, it's not, the information isn't retainable to people who don't have a certain level of education.
Okay.
So they needed to simplify it, and this just helps us simplify it in so many ways, because all it is English, or it's not even saying English, it's just verbiage. It's just words out the dictionary, and you can use a super high level word, or you can come down to a first grade, fifth grade level word that means the exact same thing, but it can be comprehended. And our thing is comprehension.
You said something very important. You said that basically you can switch to try to come down to that person's level, in the sense where if you're dealing with an owl, right, but you're a parrot, but you know you're dealing with the owl, you need to stop acting like a parrot and maybe associate yourself more as an owl in order for you to be able to communicate with that person?
Definitely, because you think adaptability is everything. Me as the person who's educated, it's their responsibility to react a certain type of way, right? You have to be the mature person in this conversation. It's not even saying you're mature. It just means that you have more education so that we can effectively communicate. I'm a parrot. I can't go into every situation high-strung, happy-go-lucky. Yeah, if it's an environment that needs that, of course I'm going to be that. But in certain environments, that's not what they need. And then they need someone who's analytical. And then at the same sense, when I'm dealing with my clients, I need to be trying to adapt to them, because I'm trying to solve their problems. I need them to feel comfortable working with me. They need to know that not only do I know what the problem is, but I have the solutions to it, and I actually care. Right, and I know why you are struggling with that situation. It's not just because you don't have the acumen to do so. It's probably just not in your DNA. But the thing is, you may have the resources around you to get those things done. It's just looking at it from every angle, and that's what it is. It's how do I adapt in every situation. When I go to, we already do it. When you're around your mom, you act totally different than when you're around your parent. You're around your friends. When you're at a sporting event, you act totally different than when you're at the library. And when we go into these different environments, there is an expectation on how you are supposed to act. When you bring your personality into that environment, you should just learn how to be aligned with what's going on, not try to stand out too much unless that's what needs to be done. But in the most times, we're putting ourselves in environments where we need to be aligned, and we need to be able to connect with one another. And that's the best way for us to connect, is understand our differences. And then once you understand the differences, now you can feel comfortable being yourself. Now people can adapt to you. And a lot of times it takes people a lot more longer time for them to adapt to you when you don't. But when you know this, it's quick.
Now, one thing about the DISC personality assessment, do you find that it changes each time you take it, or maybe your environment has changed, and so then now your results could be different? So let's talk a little bit about that with the DISC personality assessment.
I'm so glad you said that, because it's always a question that pops up. People say, I already took it. Well, your priorities change, your situations change. There are people who are dealing with grief. There are people who are dealing with divorces. Once it was a time when people have, they can let their hair down because they have somebody that's more dominant, that's taking care of things. But then when that dominant person is no longer in that environment, you have to be the person who becomes dominant.
That eagle.
Right? You have to be the eagle. You have to protect yourself, right? Protection is so important. But at the same sense, if we go into an environment where, say we're sitting at a table and we need to get people to come to our table and tell them about our product, and we want to get signatures. Well, to sit back here and just listen and just let people walk by, it's so ineffective. That's owl behavior, right?
Yeah, yes.
I need to put somebody in a position that's talkative, that don't mind interacting with people. I want to get to know about you. I want to know your problems. Some people tell you their problems, and some people get uncomfortable because it's not really what I do. But some people is like, tell me all about it. Tell me more, right? And it's just being able to adapt in those situations at all times. But then when it comes down to you changing and you taking your assessment, every environment is different. I tell a story when I'm teaching about how when I was a child, I used to watch people get done. When we used to all take tests, they used to get done faster than me. And I used to look up and I used to be like, how did you get done so fast? And then I try to go at their speed, and then I'm getting all these questions wrong. When I learned to just slow up my pace and do it myself, I learned that this is how I'm supposed to test in order for me to be successful. I got to slow down. I need to become an owl. And then in this environment, this is where an owl can thrive. Because as a parrot, I want to just have fun. If it's not a Kahoot game and I'm playing on my phone, chances are I'm not as engaged as an owl would be. But I have to adapt in certain situations. I think that's how we all are. Your kids, your situations with your children, being a business owner, making decisions, you have to become that. A lot of people, will say they're introverts, and then they go out networking, and then they have to turn on that parrot somehow, some way. They have to figure out, how can I get comfortable being in this situation, or how do I get through this situation and still be effective in it, right? But I think it's more about preparation. If you know about what environment you're going in, if you know what situation you're going through, you know how you need to adapt as a person.
Okay, and then you were stating that you also wrote a couple of books. Tell us a little bit about your books.
I did. So that's my entrepreneur journey. So my first book was The Pain of a Man. So my story is, my daughter had got hit back in 2013, and I gave her CPR, saved her life, and going through that process, it was kind of like my wake up. I learned about like meditation. I learned about it's just a lot of spiritual healing, a lot of personal development, a lot of personal growth. But I'm very transparent about how us as men, how we do try to get rid of our pain without having to do the shadow work. And I went through the shadow work, and it was kind of like the universe forced me to go through that shadow work. So it's a very interesting book.
Sounds it.
It's not the most it's not the most politically correct book, but it's real, it's raw. It's a book that can become a movie at some point in time, and that's the goal, to do so. It'll become a movie. My second book, I published it right after that. It was the Manifesting Playbook. So I'm big on personal development, and there's certain questions and there's certain things you should ask yourself before you take on a journey of personal development. Your goals, your vision, what's your core values, 5 year, 3 year, 1 year, what are your resources, and then how can you take advantage of those things, right? But at the same sense, there's time management that has to be put in. So I have these goals. I need to make sure I put in the right activity to achieve those goals. And then the third book that I published was my coloring book, which was A Journey Through the Nile. And that was just from me taking the 23andMe test and figuring out that I was a descendant of a pharaoh called Ramesses III, and then me looking deeper into Egyptology, and learning more than what the Bible said just about in the Old Testament. And then, so the goal behind the coloring book was to teach people not just about Egypt, but also how when you get information, go down that rabbit hole and just see what unfolds. And there's so much more to it than what the world is telling you.
Okay, and so for them to get a hold of you, what's the best way of getting a hold of the we mentality, right?
So definitely email is always the best way. You can email me at brandon@thewementality.org. You can call me. My phone number is 702-482-2574. That's my personal number. If you really want to do business with me, I feel like you'll call that number, and I will never, ever screen that call, right? Or if you want to just follow me and just know what's going on, you can follow me on social media. And then usually I usually have some type of webinar, some type of event going on. So if you want to meet me, you want to see me, you want to be in the room to see what I do, you can attend one of my webinars or one of my seminars, workshops, whatever it may be.
So we have one more minute before we go to commercial, before we start talking about the Veteran Business Outreach Center, right?
Hey.
What else would you like to talk about, you have 1 minute left in regards to your business and your journey?
So a little bit of, just a quick message. It's like, have a plan or become somebody else's plan. And to be honest with you, a lot of people, they don't have plans. They have goals, they have wishes, they have dreams, but how are you going to get there? And if you don't create a plan that you can execute, then you kind of just going off on your own whim and just letting the world kind of just push you around, and this is good, this is bad, no contingencies. But when you know what direction you're headed in, when you know what your resources is, you know what your time constraints are, you got to just SWOT analysis, all those things matter.
Yes.
And I'm really trying to get our communities to get more involved in planning, because planning can really change the trajectory of anyone's business, but it can even change trajectory on someone's life.
No, thank you. So this is Brandon, and so we'll be right back after this commercial. Introducing See Us Now Staffing, led by yours truly, Laura Nowlin. As the founder and president, I bring over 17 years of expertise in sourcing for talent, building winning teams of professionals, marketing, and workforce development. At See Us Now Staffing, we're not just a staffing agency. We're your strategic partner in building a winning team of professionals for your business. My passion for community service extends to connecting entrepreneurs with local resources. Recognized by the Small Business Administration as the 2022 Nevada Family Owned Business of the Year, we're not just changing the workforce landscape, we're defining it. Well, thank you for staying with us. I'm here with Brandon. It's great conversation about your journey. And then you just started a new journey, right? You started one with Veterans Business Outreach Center.
Yeah.
I watched you on social media. I'm like, tell me about it.
Yeah, VBOC is amazing. A great opportunity. You know, I always like to align what I do with purpose.
Yeah.
And what VBOC allows me to do is help out veterans that are transitioning from the military into civilian life, and they want to go into entrepreneurship and business. So they don't really know too much about business. So we're there to give them all of the resources and guide them through the process. That we're funded through the SBA.
Okay.
And then we're partners with like SBDC, SCORE, Women's Business Center here. So those are all of our resources that we're able to pull from. So we have a bunch of different resources when it comes to certifications and all of those things. What I love about the Veteran Business Outreach Center is that it's a organization that specifically focuses on veterans. So then there may be some veterans who have businesses, but we do business advising for them. So I'll meet with a business owner, meet them exactly where they are, figure out how they want to scale their business, or if they have any problems they need to fix. And then my goal is to not just encourage their business, but also to empower them as a business owner. And then we also help their family. So if well, not family, we'll say their spouses. So if you're a military spouse and you have a business, you can receive the same resources, same counseling, all of those same things. It's pretty cool. So shout out to VBOC, shout out to the SBA for them creating this program and for us keeping it going.
No, great. And what's the best way to get a hold of you for that particular program?
So you can go to VBOC, I think it's vboc.org.
Okay.
And when you go there, you'll see like a military keychain, and you just sign up. When you sign up there, you just put your information in, and once we get that information, I can work with you. I can't work with them until they sign up.
Okay.
But if they did have questions, you can call me at that number. That's 702-482-2574, and I'll gladly guide you through the process.
Awesome. So you're one of the leaders here in our community.
Oh, thank you.
I look up to you,
Thank
Brandon.
you.
I do. I really, like I said, I really enjoyed the first time that I met you when you gave your course, and I'm like, I like this man. I like your wife too. So tell us a little bit about how that journey started.
So it just once we learned, like, the pandemic really changed a lot.
Oh, yes, it did.
And when we say the pandemic changed a lot, it changed a lot when it comes to businesses, because I, as a business advisor, I got to hear all of the problems that were going on. And then I sat in on a lot of the meetings about how the government, the state, the city, the county all wanted to really put their 2 cents in, or they needed to hear the 2 cents in. So I was able to put my 2 cents in. You know, being behind a mentor like Shondell Newsom, you get into some worlds and some rooms that you normally wouldn't be aware of. And at those times, you know, I put myself in position to be heard about certain issues. So once I heard what the issues were, and you knew where the assistance was needed, it was my responsibility to put myself in position to be able to help.
Yes.
So with the We Mentality, we're also, because I'm a certified business coach, and that was through Action Coach with Brad Sugars and his team. But just through that education and that experience, it gave me the ability to be able to help out business owners structure their business in a systematic way. And then when we got to where we are now with the We Mentality, seeing the problems that are occurring in the city, you know, seeing the problems that are occurring within our education system, our workforce, all of those things, there's a huge problem. When you go into these rooms at the Clark County Government Center and you hear them talk about these things, eventually they're telling you because we need to find a solution to it. And if we can't become that solution, they'll hire an outside resource from the outside our state to come into our state and to be able to work and fix our problems. Well, we have the education, we have the experience, we have those things here. Now it's just us putting ourselves in position to be able to be that solution to those problems. And I feel like that's what the We Mentality is, and that's what it has done. Being able to be a part of like programs like CRP, the BOSS program, and there's so many other programs that Nevada has given us freely to be able to educate us. I'm just taking all that education and I just been pivoting and finding my space. So when it comes to education, you hear about like there's a problem with teachers connecting and there's a problem with students with their identity. Well, the assessment fixes that because once you identify who you are and you know what it is that you want, now there's no reason for you to try to achieve that. The problem is a lot of people, they don't know. So they're kind of just waiting for somebody to identify that for them. There's so many people in this world who they are on the path that they are because someone say, hey, you know what, you would be a good this. I was in a room the other day with some children and a bunch of police officers, and one of the children asked the lady police officer, she's a Hispanic lady, little lady too, and they said, why did you want to become a police officer? She says, I was doing martial arts and somebody told me, you know what, you'll be a good police officer. And then she said, you know what, it sparked something in me, I tried it, and now I've been doing it for 10 years.
Wow.
And that's what it takes for a majority of people in life. People need to see things in other people. And sometimes you're not going to see it with the person who you married. You're not, it's not the person who birthed you. It's really usually not those people who see these things. It's usually some outside resource who have explored this world, who have seen so many different things, and they say, ooh, you would be good at this. And it just sparks something within someone. So that's what my business does. Okay. I want to spark not only just the person to see the true value in what they can become, but that business, because that business means so much to the community. If they can thrive, if they can be successful, the jobs that you can create, all of those things, the impact that you can make.
Definitely. You said earlier something about children, and then you talked about companies. So who is your target market? Who is a good client for you?
So organizations, if you deal with people, you can utilize my services. Of course, I want the biggest contracts. Like I want hospitality. I want those things. But think about if you were a therapist, you did an assessment on your client. They have these issues, but then they also have a personality. And what if you can connect to that person sooner? Okay. Right now, you can make that healing process go a lot quicker because you've been able to connect. I say therapist now. It took me about a good 6 weeks before I got comfortable with my therapist, and it just wasn't adaptability. But after a while, it became comfortability, and that's what we needed. If I go into a school, teachers have to deal with students. And when you go through teacher training, they don't teach you how to deal with personality. They teach you how to teach curriculum. They teach you how to be a teacher. But how do you deal with the person? Right. And then when you go into businesses, you may be a great employee, you're a hard worker, you know the business, but you don't know how to move people. This is the policy, that's managing. How do you lead people? How do you drive people to want to come to work? How do you drive people to want to do better? How do you drive people to want to evolve within your company? They want to become a manager or supervisor. And then how do you develop that person to become that? You should think of those things, because now once you have that retention in your business, you're saving so much money. And now you create a culture that is something that everybody wants to be a part of. You got people I want to work for you. Like those things matter. And I feel like you have to utilize these philosophies, and you have to do it intentionally in order for it to happen. Not every business owner has that. Most people are not even empathetic. So they don't even think about this. I need to connect better with my employees. With no, I need to get them to do more. I need to make them do more. And the first thing you think of is, I'm either going to fire that person or I got to get them a raise and replace them, right? Or something like that. But what if you just develop them to become that? What if you can connect with them? What if you given that person, like you getting to know that his daughter plays soccer, right? Why don't you talk about it, right? Ask about it, right? Those things. I think all those things matter. And I think that's how you can create this super buy-in within your company that creates a culture that lives on forever. From even you don't have to be there. Like it becomes part of your recruiting process. Like when people go look at your website, they see your mission, your vision, your core values, and they say, you know what, that's the type of place I want to be at. I can thrive at a place like that. And that's what you want.
Well, so, I've been in the staffing industry. I'm going into my 18th year here in Las Vegas. And
congratulations.
Thank you. And going into my 10th year of owning my company. And obviously I deal with people all day, right? And I found that my best employees internally of building my team have been me working with the youth. And building them, because they come in as sponges, and then they just start absorbing everything. So I've got my payroll manager who's been with me since she was 16 years old.
Okay.
She's now almost 23 years old, married, and has a baby, and she runs my payroll department.
That's amazing.
But what I find is, like I said, working with the youth and being able to develop them.
Yes.
Right? So what would you recommend for someone starting a business that's now maybe in the stages where they now have enough money to be able to bring someone on, right? An employee. What would you recommend that there be their steps on being able to do that?
So I love my state. I love my community. So I don't mind giving people shouts out. So I recently partnered with PBS, and they gave a grant for a system called Jobtimize. Jobtimize is a great assessment, but at the same time, it's a recruiting portal that's crazy. Like I have so many leads from right now. Like I gotta go through the scoring process.
Yeah.
But really, when it comes to hiring your team, you have to know exactly what it is that you need. So you have an organizational chart, right? Once you have your organizational chart, what is the job description of this specific role, and then what type of personality or person would exceed in this role, right? Not just what experience they have, but what type of personality do they need. So this is where the assessments really come in, because you get to know a person on the inside, and that's what you want to do. You need to know that, okay, I know that this person can do the job, but can they do the job comfortably and happily, where they want to come to work every day, like God want me to serve my purpose, and I gotta get there, right? How do I get to that point? So you have to create a recruiting system that it all refers back to your core values, your mission, and your vision. So all of those things are there, so you can refer to those things when you're making these key decisions, right? And then you have to figure out, does this person, although she may be beautiful or he may be handsome, do they fit the culture of this company? Although she may be really smart and intelligent, and she went to college and she got all these degrees, does she fit into the culture of my business? And if they do, if they are a good fit, give them a chance. And then you have to train them. So you have to onboard them based on your personality. I mean, your job culture, the vision, the mission, the core values. You have to let them know this is how your role fits in us creating this goal. And then you have to get them KPIs. You have to get them job descriptions. You have to let them know what their responsibilities are. And then you have to measure that. Right? You have to measure their work performance. So all of these things matter, but these are all the things that you need. And these are the things that we work on with businesses and the We Mentality.
No, great advice. So then you have a system to basically take that entrepreneur through those steps then.
Yes.
So I will share with you that, and during COVID, with Nevada being so closed in 2021, I had to figure out, there's no way I'm going to roll over and play dead. My clients are closed. I'm considered essential, but I can't get any work anywhere. So I ended up leaving to Texas. So I landed a national account being there after 30 days in the logistics company. And they actually wanted me to go to Plainfield, Indiana, and open up a new location in Phoenix, Arizona, all in 1 year.
Wow.
Okay? Let me tell you, trying to man people remotely, I'm like, what the heck am I doing? So I implemented a system called the EOS, the Entrepreneur Operating System. It is now 2024. I finally have traction. Listen, you don't have to go through all that time and money that it took. Just hire Brandon.
Oh, amazing.
Okay? It's taken me years.
And you don't have to do all the recruiting, just hire Laura.
Yeah, I can get them for you.
Because all the stuff I just said, I'm pretty sure that's what you do.
Yes, we just call them a little bit differently, right?
Yeah.
Accountability chart, a VTO, right? A scorecard, an L10 meeting. Yes.
Right. And it's that. If you can onboard people, chances are you're going to retain them. And that's just what you should do. So as a small business, it's very important that we get those things right immediately. Because we cannot deal with theft. We can't afford it. I can't even afford lost time at this point in time. And then I can't afford to lose a client. We're not big enough to be able to do so. So it's something that we need to get right the first time.
Definitely. And I know that there are resources out there, especially with the Accelerator program, with Access CDFI, right? And then there are grants available in the city.
They are.
So if you are a small business lacking this, then there could be a grant out there that can actually cover Brandon's services to come in and assist you through this process, okay? Don't spend thousands and thousands of dollars and a lot of time. I'm telling you, 2021 to 2024.
Yeah.
I finally have traction.
That takes a long. That's too long. You know, I had Amy Raspini from LVGEA on my show. Matter of fact, I want you to come on my show if you can on Monday. I'm inviting her right now. Odd time, right? Anyway, but they have it's a grant called the Upskill Grant.
Okay.
So they can look it up, Upskill Grant. You can look it up on YouTube. There's a video. But what they do is they'll give you $10,000 for training. And so if you wanted to hire me, you can hire me for $10,000. They're gonna cover the bill. That'll cover leadership development, personal development, assessments, all those things. So utilize those resources. So if they're willing to pay that bill for you, then why not use them?
Definitely. So let's go ahead. We have, one more minute left. I want to make sure that they have all your contact information, Brandon.
So it's Brandon Ward Motivates on Instagram, but you know, LinkedIn is most important. Please contact me. I'm Brandon Ward. You can see Las Vegas. The We Mentality is on LinkedIn as well. You can go to my website, thewementality.com. Everything is there. You can go to Facebook, anywhere. My email is brandon@thewementality.org. But if you're serious about doing business, you can call me or text me, 702-482-2574. There was this rapper named Mike Jones. He used to rap his. I'm going to try to figure out a way to say it, but it's 702-482-2574. I would love to work with you.
I remember what Brandon said. Great advice, right? Have a plan,
Yes.
or be a part of someone else's plan.
Definitely.
You can catch our show on Roku, WWD-BTV, at CS Now Staffing YouTube, and we release the new shows every single Friday at 3 p.m. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank
Have
you.
a blessed day.
Thank you, Laura.
No, thank you, Brandon.